big congratulations to all the club members who helped make our blood drive possible. From July 24th, 2020, November 3rd, 2020, and then February 8th, 2021, we've collected a total of 112 units of blood. This roughly translates into 330 saved lives. Now, as Dave mentioned earlier, it's fun to look at this as a competition, between fellow Rotary clubs. But the reason we do this is a community project. We want to help our community. We want to help save lives. We have 3 more blood drives to keep going. And I hope that we see all of these blood drives filled up and supported by all of our Rotarians, not just in our club, but in Stanwood and Marysville and Lake Stevens. But all of this has been made possible by American Red Cross of the Pacific Northwest region, Blood Services. And the person who helps this make possible is somebody who juggles many, many, many blood drives, is Rachel Katchen. And Rachel's going to be giving us a talk today. Rachel?
Thank you so much. And as much as, the Red Cross loves blood drives and loves setting them up, it's definitely not possible without you, Jim. You are definitely the point of contact for the Arlington Rotary, and you really have set the tone for all the Rotary clubs in the area. So definitely thanks to you for everything as well. But just to dive into what the Red Cross is, what we do, what you guys have done to make a difference, and what we can keep doing. The Red Cross actually just started up in Seattle within the last 3 to 5 years. So we only recently started doing blood drives up in the area, and we have rapidly grown to the point where my territory that used to span all the way to Montesano, Aberdeen, and Ocean Shores, all the way up to Stanwood, all the way down to Chehalis and Centralia, because it's growing so rapidly and I can only be in so many places at once, we have to hire multiple new account managers. We're getting a new truck, another team. So really, you guys are part of that growth, and I'm super thankful to have you guys. I'll be sticking with you guys though, even though we're getting some new members of the team. You guys will stay with me. So we're growing fast, and we really do appreciate. So we partner with local and regional partners. So Church of Latter-day Saints, we partner with them across the state. Rotarian clubs, we partner with them across the state. VFWs, Elks and Eagles Lodges, all of those different wonderful organizations, they partner with us to let us come inside and host blood drives. We really want to provide a safe, clean, and consistent space to community members to come and donate blood and share in saving lives. The way that me and Jim kind of have it set up for your blood drive is we keep it close to the public to give the Rotarians a chance to sign up for the drive and get the first chance at filling those slots. And then any slots that aren't filled, then we allow the community members to jump in and fill those spots that are left to make sure that we're making the most of the blood drive that we're hosting. And as Jim was already saying, is that you guys have already collected, saving up to over 300 lives in just 3 blood drives. You guys really do make a massive difference, and you've set a model for all the different Rotarian clubs around you. We kind of are following suit and doing things the same way that Jim and I have now outlined, which is really special, to be able to show other organizations across the region, here's how Arlington Rotary is doing it, and we're having consistently great success. So we really are mirroring that. Let's see. So another thing, I know that Dave and Jim are kind of tackling the volunteer portion of it, but just to touch on what that really means if you're interested in joining us for volunteer support. What that means is that you're welcoming the donors at the door. You're checking their ID and making sure that they're standing to the computer with an appointment. And that's really important given, the pandemic that we're in the middle of, is we really do need people to sign up ahead of time and have appointments. So you're the first person that the donors meet and see. And you're also making sure that everyone that's joining us is supposed to be there and that they have an appointment, because we do set the schedule to accommodate all the state guidelines and make sure that we have, enough space inside the room for social distancing. So it's really a key part of the blood drive, and you guys have always provided volunteers, and it really, other sponsors aren't able to do the same. So it's really special that you guys can do that. And it just makes up for such a smooth day for my whole team. But before I answer some questions about blood drives and stuff, I think an important thing to note about the Red Cross and kind of what sets us apart from other blood banks in the area is although we have local contracts and we always fulfill our local contracts and make sure that our community is being served with our blood products, we also have a national organization. So we have the capacity to send our blood products to where it's needed most. So the unfortunate events that are happening in Denver and just happened within the last week or so, we're able to send our blood to where it's needed in the country. So if that's who needs it right now, we'll fill our contracts and send our overfill right over to them. So it's really special to have not only a regional and local partnership with so many different organizations, but we span that nationwide. So one of the features on our blood donor app that every single donor can see exactly where their blood goes, whether it be Baltimore, Texas, or right in your backyard in your local hospital, you can see exactly where it's going. And I know that we've done a few blood drives. I'm sure some of you have joined us, but does anyone have any questions for me about, volunteering, donating, or just what the Red Cross does up in the area?
So Rachel, there's a platelet option versus whole blood. Can you explain that, and what's involved in somebody saying they're willing to give other than whole blood?
Yeah, no, great question. So what we do is we offer 2 blood donations at your blood drive. One is called whole blood, and that's where you're donating 1 pint of blood. And it is essentially 1 unit. So when Jim refers to a unit collected, that's 1 pint, so 1 donor. And then our second process is called Power Red. And this process, apheresis, which is where instead of just a simple draw where the blood is coming out of the donor, we're removing the blood from the donor and it's going into a machine and filtering out. And you're donating 2 pints of pure red blood cells. And the platelets and plasma actually go back into you. So you do have to meet height and weight requirements, and they are different for male and female. So we always, of course, we would never hook you up to the machine without walking you through that process, making sure you meet the requirements, your high iron levels are up to par and all of that good stuff. But essentially that's the main difference. The whole blood is all of the components of blood. And then the Power Red are 2 pints of pure red blood cells. And the hospitals, of course, there's tons of different ways to utilize blood donations and blood products, whether it's in labor, blood transfusions, cancer, or whatever it may be. So pure red blood cells are really, really helpful because the hospitals don't have to take the extra time to separate out the parts that they need. They can just dive in and use the pure red blood cells of the exact blood type that they're needing at that time.
Rachel, can you tell us what happens to the blood? So I mean, I see everybody packs up and they take all the blood with them in a van and they drive away. I mean, where does the blood go once it leaves here, once it leaves Arlington?
Yeah. So once it leaves Arlington, it always goes back to our Red Cross Seattle Center. And then the blood gets manufactured and shipped and packaged and gets sent out to the hospitals that we have contracts with. So the Red Cross takes care of all of that process. And the Red Cross fulfills, like I said, those contracts that we have locally. And then we ship out our extra products out to the parts of the nation that need it most. Oregon, during the wildfires, they had to, cancel their blood drives, and the need for blood didn't stop. The hospitals didn't stop gathering patients. So we fulfilled our contracts up here and then immediately sent our leftover products down to Portland, all over Oregon, California, anywhere that needed it. So we do take care of the, from point A to point B, and then we give it to the hospitals and they take care of getting it to the person that needs it.
Rachel, for a quick question, I'm Bob Campbell, and I'm curious about what's the difference between somebody like Bloodworks, who collects up in Everett, and the Red Cross, and then what is the difference between a not-for-profit organization like the Red Cross and plasma centers that pay people for their blood and or blood products?
Ooh, all right, so definitely the first question you asked was the difference between Bloodworks. And I would say that the main difference, there's dive deep into the nitty gritty, but the main difference is the part that I touched on, that we have that national partnership. So Bloodworks has a bus, for example, that they can pull up into a parking lot and do blood drives and gather blood and fulfill their local contracts, and then do the same thing the next day. And it's awesome. You're saving lives no matter where you're donating with. The benefit to the Red Cross and the main difference, we do have that ability and capacity to ship it to where it's needed most. So, the Red Cross has so many different pillars and so many different departments, services to the army, disaster relief, and all of that good stuff. So to be able to give, we're a nationwide organization that wants to help all across the nation. We're here to help out anyone that needs assistance, whether their house burned down or whether, they need blood during labor. We're allowed to ship that across the nation and make sure that whoever needs it most is getting it. And the difference between a non-for-profit and a for-profit, I guess, or the plasma centers. So the nonprofits is, we're asking donors to come donate voluntarily. We're asking partners to donate their space voluntarily. We're asking, for that commitment and that partnership and that service, as opposed to a transaction that you see at the plasma centers. The plasma centers then get to go off and, fulfill their contracts and add the monetary compensation within it, and they provide the donor compensation. So we are all nonprofit. We are all fulfilling contracts out of the kindness and the donations from our donors and the kindness of our sponsors opening their doors, for sure.
Okay, so Rachel, how long does the blood last? And then is there a difference between the pint of regular blood you give, the platelets, and the whole blood?
Yeah. So they definitely have different shelf lives. The whole bloods definitely have a lower shelf life, but you do donate 2 pints of blood in Power Red. So we're pretty, so our shelf lives, it's different for the blood type. So our shelf lives they never sit and hang out. We are constantly filtering our blood and passing it along where it's needed pretty promptly as soon as packaging and manufacturing it. But the donation process itself takes about 30 to 45 minutes to go through the donation process. And the actual draw time to fill 1 pint is on average only 7 minutes. So you're really only hooked up to the needle and having the draw happen for a very short amount of time that you're physically on site with us.
Yeah, last time I gave blood was 3 minutes, 49 seconds.
I know, I have people race all the time. It's awesome.
Rachel, I heard a stat this morning that said that 1 out of 5 units is testing positive for the antibodies. Are those treated the same? Is that able to be dispersed, or how is that with the 20% of those units having those antibodies?
Yep. So any blood that's donated that is tested positive for antibodies is actually used to help with the recovery of COVID patients. So we also do ask those that test positive, we reach out to them and ask if they would like to come and donate plasma, because that's another part that actually helps the donors recover. So there is still ways to utilize that blood. There's different processes that you can do to help in addition because you have tested positive. And we are still testing all blood products that are donated for COVID antibodies, and we will be for your blood drive in May as well. You can find your results on your donor profile or by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS 7 to 10 days after you donate.
Rachel, how often can you donate? I know Marysville's got a blood drive, the Rotary Club there. Is that too close to when we're having ours to donate for both?
Yes. So you do have to wait 56 days in between donations. And so we have kind of mapped it out for the Arlington one, doing it once a quarter. Donors will always be eligible, but that's the beauty of partnering with other Rotary clubs in the area, is that if you aren't available on the one day that we're running with the Rotary, you can check out to see when the Marysville or soon to be Stanwood Rotary clubs are running and join them there as well. So trying to space things out while at the same time, just providing ample opportunities to all the clubs in the area. I will say the Power Red donation, since it is 2 pints of blood, you double that 56 days and you can only donate every 112 days. So that's a little different.
Rachel, you talked about Bloodworks. Are they basically doing the same thing, or are they paying the place, whatever the location is, a fee to be there, or how does that work?
To be honest with you, I don't know the internal exchange that happens between them and their sponsors. I do know that the big main difference is that they do have the bus up here and we don't. We go inside. I personally find it's more effective and more intimate, and I have better response from donors and volunteers doing it, local. Now knows that the Arlington Rotary Club does a blood drive once a quarter. And now that we've done it 3 times, it's that consistent safe space, as opposed to a bus that's popping up in a parking lot, which is absolutely, still effective. And people definitely prefer that for the flexibility purposes, because they pop it up pretty often in different parking lots. So if you, one morning decide you want to wake up and donate, you can go check that out. We definitely, have a little bit more structure. And like I said, we like to be involved with the organization and go and have you guys provide the volunteers and be involved within the drive.
Well, I've donated twice to Bloodworks, and it was not at a bus, it was at a church. And,
Well,
and then since then, I've done the last 2 at the city with Rotary, but my wife and I were curious about how that worked.
They are not for profit also, so Bill. They're not for profit, unlike the plasma centers, but they are a nationwide distribution as well as service organization.
Yeah, that's a great point, and definitely another beautiful part. I, of course, love the Red Cross and everything about it, and being able to, not just be involved with biomed, but to be able to go help install smoke alarms in someone's home, or be at the forefront of the wildfire smoke, having so many opportunities to do so many different things within the community is definitely, it's a well-rounded organization. And Bloodworks does do inside blood drives. Like I said, definitely don't know anything internal going on with them. To my understanding, they were pulling back on inside drives given the pandemic and mostly using the bus, but that's awesome to hear that they're still providing opportunities safely inside of a church. That's music to our ears.
Well, I just wanted to say one thing about your blood collection staff, the vampires. They are extremely professional. They show up an hour beforehand, and within 30 minutes, they've transformed a large conference room into a blood collection center. They perform their collection activities and then shut down at 6, and by 6:45, they're cleaned up. Everything is back in its place, and they're getting ready to take off. So they are a very well-oiled machine. I did meet a board director from Bellingham during the November collection. She came down to donate. She informed me of some sort of joining. Weren't you like the Everett Red Cross before, and now you're the Pacific Northwest?
So we have the Eastern Washington and then Western Washington, and we have a chapter in Richland, in Seattle, in Tacoma, down in Vancouver. So we are all across the area. And unfortunately, because of flooding, we did just sell our Red Cross Everett chapter. So we have chapters across the state. The Everett one is definitely the closest to you, and definitely one that your area would be the most involved with. But we have many, many, many boards and chapters across the state. And I'm sad that we lost the Everett one, but it was non-fixable.
Jim, do we have a sponsor code yet for the May draw?
The code's always the same. It's I'm looking at it right now. It's Arlington Rotary.
And I try to keep it pretty consistent and simple. So if you want to check out what Marysville has going on, it's just the sponsor code Marysville Rotary, no spaces in either of the sponsor codes. But once I set up Stanwood and get them up and running, I'll do the same for them. So definitely just utilize the sponsor code if you want to check out the other clubs in the area.
So when you go on to the Dale, when you go onto the website, it'll say zip or sponsor code. In that box is where you type Arlington Rotary.
Yep, I'm in. Thank you.
So Rachel, did you say that you sold the chapter in Everett? Did I hear you right?
Yeah, we did. We officially, it is closed. It is no longer owned by the Red Cross. It was, people have been wanting it for quite some time to rebuild there, and we were holding on to it as long as we could. But the recent flooding, it was time to part ways. So
You sold the building. You didn't sell there's still a chapter, Red Cross chapter in Snohomish County, I'm assuming.
yes, absolutely. We still have a chapter committee without a doubt. We just don't have that physical building. I'm not sure if we're going to, pop one up in a different location for that chapter to kind of work out of. But yes, we do still have our committee up in Everett, Snohomish County for sure. Sorry for not clarifying that. Anyone else have any other questions about the Red Cross or Arlington's Drive or just how to be involved in general?
I've got a question. Last time I was Power Red, and you said that there's a different time.
Yep.
So I would not be eligible in May.
You know what the last date was that you donated Power Red?
When were we in Arlington last? February something?
I can tell you right now.
February 8th.
February 8th. And I can tell you exactly the next day that you will be able to donate. You'll be able to donate as of May 31st, which means that for the June drive or let's see, I have it right here.
May 3rd.
And then August 11th would be the next Arlington one, but let's look at Marysville.
Can you donate whole blood in the interim, Rachel, or?
No, unfortunately not. Even if you wanted to donate whole blood your next time after Power Red, you would still have to wait that 112 days. But if after Power Red you waited 112 days and then donated whole blood, 56 days after that, you'd be eligible again. Yeah, and it looks like both Rotary clubs are in August again for Marysville. But Dale, if you want to reach out to me, I can personally definitely get you set up for a drive that's in June, or we can have you wait till August, whatever works best for you. I could definitely help and make sure that you sign up accordingly to your eligibility and stuff in your area.
So basically, if I want to stay with the club, I just go every other, because I am a Power Red eligible, so I could go every other one, right, Rachel?
Yep. Exactly. If you stuck with Power Red the whole time. If for some reason one time, because there are some times that maybe your iron or hemoglobin, something else is keeping you from doing Power Red, because you do have to meet those requirements. If you, come to August and they have you donate whole blood, because they still, of course, will let you donate a standard donation, then you wouldn't have to skip one, and then you could do Power Red at the following one, because you would only have to wait 56 days.
Hey, Dale, I'm sort of confused. I always thought your blood was crimson.
It actually is.
I'm actually looking at the American Red Cross thing and now, and I can't find where it's a date to sign up, and it has my information in there. So it says choose my dates, but it doesn't seem to work for me.
Yeah, it won't show up unless you put in the Arlington Rotary sponsor code.
Because the drive is currently private, so only you guys can see it and find it and sign up for it. Jim and I kind of have that agreement that up until 2 weeks before the drive, I keep it closed so you guys have ample opportunities. And if I did open it to the public, it would probably already be full by now.
Yeah, once you open it, it goes within hours.
Yeah, I actually added a drive yesterday at the Red Cross office. I added it last Friday, and by Monday morning, completely full, all 42 spots. So it's definitely not a bad problem to have, but definitely try to keep it private at the time being for you guys.
Are we still opening it up, Jim, to the other clubs or before
Yes,
the
so
public?
I'm working with AJ to get the news out to the other clubs, but it's basically anybody who knows the Arlington Rotary secret password can log on.
Does anyone else have any questions? You guys have asked really, really wonderful questions. I'm definitely looking forward to working with you guys throughout 2021 and hopefully for many years to come. If anyone ever has any questions, I'm gonna put my email right now into the chat. If anyone ever has questions or would like assistance signing up for a drive, I am more than happy to personally take care of doing so.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being our presentation today. And with that, everybody, meeting's adjourned.